We're on air, everybody. So, good evening, everybody, our charming fellow listeners. It's been a long wait. We haven't seen you guys in a long time, and we're desperate to return to the stage to our studios. And we have someone in a new studio today, actually. Terrence, say hi to us. Who are you? Who are you with? Where are you at?
I'm in New York, Times Square, right behind me.
All right, time to visit Wall Street right after this, right?
Yep, definitely. Later in the day.
All right. But we got to get on to some real business first. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about everything you need to know about greenwashing, and that's a big term right here that might make your brain explode. But first of all, we got Terrence from New York helping us out. Terrence, tell us what's greenwashing.
So what greenwashing is basically it's a deceptive policy, a practice of marketing a company, a product as being environmentally friendly while it's not, right? So just really lying about the sustainability aspects of the business. And what this does is it masks out the true environmental impact, and it is detrimental to the real businesses that are conducting sustainability.
Yeah, so there are seven types of greenwashing, and one of the type would be hidden trade-off. I'll explain this one in depth because it's one of the very common practices for fast fashion industry. It basically highlights one narrow, eco-friendly feature, and then while ignoring like the whole supply chain impact. So it's basically, for example, okay, if you're in the fashion industry then you probably have like this really sustainable series collection. But then for the other ones, you're just hiding it. Okay. You're just leaving it behind and they're just highlighting that sustainable one and forgetting about every other single series. So, yeah. And there's also vagueness. They just use the term eco friendly or like just without any data support. Yeah.
I like how this is drawing from like the seven types of greenwashing from Choice. And I'd like to mention another one I find quite interesting is that there's a sin of the lesser of the two evils. So for example, a company might claim that something a green attribute to a product to mask out a category that is really just detrimental to the environment. For example, they might say like SUVs that are fuel efficient despite using, polluting, so, or maybe like organic cigarettes coming from like the tobacco uh, from organic sources. So basically, it's just masking out. Do you have anything to add, Alan?
Yeah, I think now we have pretty much covered the basis of greenwashing. I do have something to add, and I think it's going to be a hot take right here. All right, watch out. I think that greenwashing is essential because it's going to be a trend that all companies need to push themselves and to incentivize their actions into transitioning to more sustainable business models. What do you guys think?
I think it's actually like a false claim. Okay, so you're saying that lying would help the whole sustainable industry to stay sustainable, right? But then actually, when you have these companies lying about their efforts in sustainability, then their competitors who might actually be doing hard work on being sustainable, they lose their competitive advantage. And while they maintain a high cost in doing all these stuff, they might just end up having the same result, same profit margin, same type of brand reputation as the ones that are lying. Yeah. I think
I do agree.
Terrence, yeah, had something to say. You see, he's really eager to answer that. Yeah.
Really eager. Yeah, yeah. Sorry to disturb you, but like, yeah, I really do agree with what Winston said, that it kind of penalizes the businesses that are actually doing genuine sustainability and ESG rather than like benefiting them. And although we can't just like say that it's only one-sided, right? Some benefits, in my opinion, is that it does bring out that sustainable awareness to the customer, as you see that a lot of businesses are promoting it, and despite it being fake and all, that part is definitely unethical. But there is that element of increased awareness with greenwashing, despite it not being fair.
Yeah, okay. I'm somewhat persuaded by all your examples. That is really overwhelming for me. But I do have one thing for y'all because I'm going to be bringing up a really, really shocking example that even you viewers might have to hold your horses for this. Basically, in China where all this EV development is going on, right? Electric vehicles, it's happening at a really fast rate, and we're all admitting that it's amazing. However, these emissions are still peaking at 2023 in this age, and it's really concerning because this is something that goes against the trend, right? Aren't electric vehicles supposed to bring emissions down? So that gives a question, right? Chinese steel giants, they tout ultra low emission upgrades, but then there are watchdog reports that show many simply install monitoring systems that report cleaner numbers without actually cutting the pollution. So, these auditors, they turn out to be actually often government tied. So then who audits the auditors?
I do think that's like quite interesting of a claim because there's that chance of what we call regulatory capture, which is when these auditor gets involved with the businesses to like make it look better. Of course, it does benefits the auditor as well if they do like make false claims sometimes and to make the image of the economy look better as a whole. But yeah, it's quite difficult, I would say, who audits the auditors because there's often a lack of like whistleblowing on that end. And what it takes generally is for like activists and people expert on the field like us who point out that these auditors aren't really doing what they're supposed to do. And with Alan's example on Chinese EVs, I believe that despite being electric and reducing fuel emissions, there's that environmental concern with electric vehicles as well, especially in lithium batteries, as these batteries, when you extract them from the ground, it leads to a lot of groundwater pollution and food poisoning for the regions that these lithium are found.
Well, if I heard Alan correctly, you said about the emission. You said that even with the EV vehicle rising, amount of EV vehicle rising, the emission has not been decreasing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're putting claims that they're extra emission efficient, but in fact, they're only upgrading their equipment so that they detect more precise data, and therefore they're still using the same system. But then it's just that their data are being tweaked in some way to make it more precise, and therefore they can have some justification when making their claims.
Oh, that's quite interesting. And I think for EV vehicles to be, EV vehicles is really a contradicting topic because when you produce these batteries and at the same time when you use these electricity, they release carbon emission, right? But then so basically it depends on how long you are using this EV vehicle. If you're just using it for like 1 year and then you're gonna switch to another car, then basically that would produce even more carbon emission than a fossil fuel vehicle. So I would say it really depends on the consumer themselves too. So
Yeah, I like your insights. Actually, that can also have risks towards green claims, false claims, misleading claims. And let's bring that across, because speaking of claims unite us. If we all agree on claims, we all agree on one thing, and this unites all of us. And there are things in the world that unites us all. Net zero pledges that are going across time zones from where I am right now, Hong Kong, to where Terrence is right now in New York. Everyone is saying everywhere, net zero by 2050. It sounds really universal, right? Basically, greenwashing thrives on these gaps between industries that all claim net zero pledges, right? From one industry to another. And the same phrase net zero is being used to justify a coal plant in one country, but a solar farm in another country, and with no global body in power to call it a flaw, essentially. The UK high-level expert group tried to impose integrity criteria in 2022. They urged a ban on new fossil fuel investments. The response is that most governments and corporates nodded politely, and then they kept doing exactly what they're doing. They're just acknowledging it, but with fancier footnotes. And when you have these tricks coming out of your mouth, coming out of your claims, usually what you do is you go to the court. But little do anyone know that this is the last line of defense. Since 2015, over 2,000 climate-related lawsuits have been filed globally, and there are cases that become comfortable truths because the boom in climate litigation is a symptom of a global regulatory failure. And we're outsourcing the definition of corporate responsibility to judges who are trained to interpret contracts and not carbon budgets. What do you guys think about this legal system as a last resort thing?
Yeah, I do think that's quite interesting. Where our humanity, right? Like these companies are just willing to go to the last, like they have to see those fines to stop, and in this way is such a shame of those companies. And I mean, governments are trying their best, like UK government, European and Asia, they're all enforcing heavy fines on these companies. But I know that there's a 30% surge recently in the greenwashing cases. So it does decrease the cases to a certain extent, but the huge capital involved would still trigger a lot of people's greed. Yeah.
I feel like we have to view greenwashing not as something that's like inherently bad, but I want to view it mainly as like a decision-making game. It's an economic game ultimately, as it comes down to like who benefits, who loses on this, and definitely there are a lot of financial incentives, and that pushes people to pursue greenwashing. So when do you prioritize protecting your shareholders' value, increasing their dividends, and when do you prioritize the planet, right? There's definitely a debate ongoing there, and as we know, greenwashing is unethical, but sometimes people are obliged to do so, and because they follow a specific, I feel like, quota or like a profit target that they have to hit, and they think this is a necessary means towards increasing their profits. And I feel like as human race, right, we do like to fantasize about like a brighter future, which is why we've made those pledges, right? 2050 net zero emissions, even though we have not really have like really clear steps to how we're gonna get there. And like 2030, 2040, we just keep pushing the deadline backwards.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be definitely the trend for the future. Everyone's procrastinating, and these regulators, these auditors are also procrastinating. And that brings us to an end to today's conversation. Unfortunately, I know you all are going to miss us for the next few days, but we'll be back shortly. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.